I'm Michelle Fowler, and I had the pleasure of working with Nahla W during this summer session of Magic. She's a very conscientious and thoughtful young woman who always strives to do her best and has very high expectations of herself. Her project is a webpage that highlights women in STEM throughout history because she felt it is important to showcase women's contributions to STEM disciplines as they've been frequently overlooked. There were some hiccups in the beginning of the session when we figured out that Nahla needed a new laptop to be able to complete her project because she's from New York, but she spent the first part of the summer in South Carolina to help care for her grandparents. And that made it a bit tricky to coordinate delivery. But once we worked through that, she made great progress on her website in a very short amount of time. And I haven't done web development in years, so we were learning together. I told her that Google is her best friend, and I'm really happy with her final product.
Nahla, you can start now.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nahla. I am currently now in 12th grade. I am a senior as of today. I go to Brooklyn Lab High School in downtown Brooklyn, New York. And I have the pleasure of having my mentor be Mrs. Michelle Fuller. She is from Virginia Beach, Virginia. She majored in computer science, engineering, physics at the University of Michigan. She's now currently working as a director of IT at GATX Corporation, and she likes aquariums, museums, jigsaw puzzles, and she loves to travel as well as I do. So my project is called Women of Computer Science, and it is, as was said, was a website. And the reason I wanted to create this website was to give women who shape this general area of study a spotlight. At first, I knew I wanted to do a website, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do it on. But this came to mind and I said, hey, this is great. So the type of code I have is HTML and CSS. It was pretty difficult, as Ms. Michelle said in the beginning, with technology troubles and just trying to get a new laptop and moving back and forth. It was difficult. But in terms on the coding side, I wouldn't say it was too hard, but as we were learning together, so it was easier to understand. I placed a GitHub link in case anyone wants to really see the code that I did, since I did all of it on a application called Visual Studio. So that's where most of my work is, but it's there if you need it. So the progress that I put was I created 2 mock pages, which is on the next slide over that I'll show you. And that's when once I downloaded Visual Studio, I started to code. I started to see a more functional site since I was able to link multiple Wikipedia pages of each person within the website. So once you click on their name, it would go to their Wikipedia page and you can read all about them. Then I decided to add a second page for not just like the different different decades, but also some honorable mentions throughout history. And so I decided to do somewhat the same thing of where you click on their name, but make it more of a gallery. So now I have made 2 functional pages for anyone to enjoy. So these are my 2 mock pages that I came up with at the start. I originally was only planning to have just 3 of the 1800s, 1900s, and the 2000s, but I decided to add the 2010s and the present day to that as well. And I also decided to add images on the second page to really show the women. So this is the code of my first and second page. It was pretty long, so I couldn't fit most into it, but this is just a little small rundown of what it is. It's the heading on top, and then it's a hyperlink, and then you add a description. And it's also somewhat on the same page, also on the same page of the second page. It's the hyperlink, and you add the name. It all fits into a gap. So this is the demo. I'm in Visual Studio right now. So I click play and it's running, and eventually it'll pop out in Chrome. You can choose either for it to pop out in Safari or Chrome. So right now it's running, so it can produce in Chrome. Yes, in Chrome. So this is the first page. And then there is my second page. In here, if you didn't get a really good look at it, this is how the front of it looks. And then here is my honorable mentions page. And I enjoyed my experience. I really liked getting to know Miss Michelle and being able to rely on her. We were able to communicate well. When things went one way, she would be very understanding. Lessons for me, I would always look at things in a different angle and never be afraid to ask for help when you need it. As challenges were computer problems and scheduling issues, since I was moving around a lot. And a piece of advice I would give to anyone would be, to anyone who tries this program, would to use your mentor's experience to help guide you, because with help, it can guide you towards a good career growth, whether it be your STEM or in something else. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? I'm glad.
I have a quick question, Nahla. That was an amazing presentation. I loved your website, and I caught a quick glance of it and saw Gladys West among other people, or women in STEM. So I'm excited for that, since she was a civilian who worked for the Navy. Do you have a personal favorite woman in STEM, or maybe a new woman that you learned about for this project that you didn't know about before?
Yes, I believe one of them, it turns out, was in the movie Hidden Figures. I believe her name was
Is it Katherine Johnson you're talking about?
I think.
yes, Katherine
Hey.
Johnson.
Katherine Johnson. Yep.
It was amazing, since I knew about the movie, but I didn't really know much about the history of these women. So once I finally got into it, I was like, oh wow. It was pretty amazing to see, especially a woman of color really hop out and made this big impact.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions for Nahla?
I have a question, Nala. This is super cool. I think I would love to learn a little bit more about this. I wish I had something like this when I was in school. And I was wondering if you planned on, sending it out to classmates or any communities or organizations you're in.
I may decide to if post the website live, because it would be a great way for me to show my skill, and it definitely gives me a sense of pride, since I did this. So I really want to show it.
Thanks. Congrats.